Hi there, this is Solitary Ronin from Solitary Ronin Films, and welcome to another updated collection video for 2020 as I continue my lazy start to the year. So today's updated collection video should be fairly short. It's combining two labels, Second Sight Films from the UK and Second Run Films. Second Sight kind of do cult films mixed with kind of new films, and also a little bit of art house, and Second Run are pretty much documentaries and European films from the past that have perhaps been forgotten about. Second Run do standard editions and limited editions, so I have a bit of both. And Second Run also do DVD and Blu-ray. I don't have that many Blu-rays. Hopefully I'll get more in the future. And last year, I think I did a video just to say I got a bunch of cheap DVDs from Second Run on eBay, which of course I still haven't watched most of them as backlog is growing. So let's just start with Second Run and the standard editions. So the first one is John Carpenter's wonderful Assault on Precinct 13. This release has new interviews with Austin Stoker, a new interview with executive producer, a new interview with Tommy Lee Wallace. There's actually a John Carpenter student short, Captain Voyeur. There's a Do You Remember Laurie Zimmer, an interview with John Carpenter and Austin Stoker, an interview with Nancy Loomis Kyles, an audio commentary with John Carpenter, and a commentary with Tommy Lee Wallace. I mean, I think most of these extras are on the Scream Factory edition or Shout Factory edition, but this one comes in a nice black case. Next is the Basket Case trilogy, which I had never seen before, bizarrely. Obviously you have part 1, which is the early Video Nasty one, which is rough round the edges like you wouldn't believe, but an interesting little film. I really actually enjoyed 2 and 3, even though Frank Henenlotter, if I can pronounce his name correctly, isn't really a fan of the third one, but I really enjoyed number 2 and 3, probably more than I thought I would. But the first one is your typical no budget horror of the early 80s, rough as hell, but the sequels are actually really enjoyable. Next is a film I saw a long time ago and finally got on Blu-ray, which is Dreamscape with Dennis Quaid and Max von Sydow, fantastic performance, Christopher Plummer, and David Patrick Kelly, who, if you don't recognise his name, you recognise his face as the wee guy from Warriors and The Crow. He plays the villain in this with relish. It's all about invading people's dreams, but not in the Inception way, in the filling their dreams with horrific images to give them heart attacks and kill them way. It's a slightly different to Inception. Lots of fun. Next is Ghost Story, which I still haven't watched. Next is The Ninth Configuration. So if this video inspires you to perhaps pick up a second sight release, I would urge you to pick up William Peter Blatty's The Ninth Configuration. It's a strange film. It's about a castle in Europe which houses soldiers who are either insane or trying to pretend to be insane, and Stacy Keach comes in and strange things go on. The wonderful Scott Wilson, again another name that you might not recognise, but you'll recognise his face, who made a career out of strange character roles, is in it. It's a really strange film. This has a commentary with William Peter Blatty and Mark Kermode, who is the biggest Blatty fan in the world. There's an interview with Stacy Keach, an interview with Stephen Powers, interviews with production designer and art director, an interview with a composer, and interviews with Tom Atkins, Jason Miller's in it, Richard Lynch. There's an archive featurette of Mark Kermode. I can't remember the first time that I saw this. I've got a feeling it might have been on Moviedrome on BBC Two. I could be wrong with that. Just a strange, odd film, but if you stay with it, it's still strange and odd. Next is Stuart Gordon's From Beyond. A good old-fashioned stab at some Lovecraft. This has got wonderful practical effects. Jeffrey Combs, Barbara Crampton, wonderful, silly, gory stuff. Next, a slightly different change of pace. Peter Weir's Picnic at Hanging Rock. The director's cut, which has a bunch of extras on it. It has an 113-minute making of, a 1975 on-set documentary about the making of, an interview with the author of the book that it's based on, Joan Lindsay, an interview with Karen Robson, who played Irma. There's a Then and Now. There's deleted scenes. It's a strange, ethereal film, but obviously fans of people who like conclusions and everything explained, probably not a film for you. And finally, mentioned Jeffrey Combs before, Stuart Gordon's Reanimator, obviously fully restored now, including the severed head scene with Barbara Crampton. It's an unrated version, there's an integral version, there's a commentary with Stuart Gordon, there's a commentary with Brian Yuzna, Jeffrey Combs, Robert Sampson, Barbara Crampton and Bruce Abbott. There's a Reanimator Resurrectus documentary, more interviews. This is an example of an early 80s horror film that still stands up, probably due to Jeffrey Combs' insane performance. It's about bringing back the dead. So we'll just go on to special editions. This is one of their new ones, The Amazing Mr. Blinden, which I have still to watch for. And this one bizarrely comes with a copy of the book that the film's actually based on. Again, they usually release standard editions like the year after they release the special editions, and again they specialise in lovely black cases. But so if you can't afford the limited edition, or you're not really that bothered about having limited editions, they do release standard editions. Next is one of the Amicus wonderful portmanteau films, Asylum. Stars Peter Cushing and Britt Ekland and Robert Powell and Herbert Lom. It's a lot of fun. Again, this one just comes with a booklet and a poster. Next is The Changeling with George C. Scott. Again, I'm not the biggest George C. Scott fan, but I have quite a lot of his films. I should really get t-shirts printed with that on it. This comes with poster and a book, but it actually comes with the CD soundtrack as well, which is actually quite a nice addition to the set. Next is Sergei Parayanov's The Colour of Pomegranates. So you'll get kind of some culty, pulpy films, and then they'll release The Colour of Pomegranates. This has two versions of the film, the Armenian version and the Russian version, and a rather sizable booklet as well. Such beautiful imagery in The Colour of Pomegranates. Next is a release of one of the 80s children's science fiction films that actually still stands up today, Flight of the Navigator. Again, they'll be releasing a standard edition just with the black case this year. That's Flight of the Navigator. It's just these cardboard boxes are really cardboardy. Another Amicus portmanteau film, The House That Dripped Blood, which is a lot of fun. Ingrid Pitt, Peter Cushing, Christopher Lee, and John Pertwee before Doctor Who. In Bruges, and this one came with a copy of the script. That's a nice release of In Bruges. And we have the release of Take Shelter with Michael Shannon planning to protect his family from apocalypse that may be coming, or it might just be all in his head. Again, next is one of their new ones, Upgrade by Lee Winnell, who wrote Saw and Insidious, but this is way better than those two ventures. It's a great little science fiction film, again made on no budget, but it's just full of interesting ideas as somebody's made paraplegic but gets an AI implant. Really stylishly done. Again, an interesting take on fight scenes, beautiful production design considering it was made for a very small budget. Outdoes several multi-million dollar Hollywood films. It's a great wee film. I was really impressed with it, so I would certainly recommend picking up Upgrade. And if you have it in DVD, you can upgrade it to Blu-ray. Next is When a Stranger Calls, which again I still haven't watched, and this includes the sequel, When a Stranger Calls Back, which is a imaginative title. And finally is everybody's favourite rat double bill, Willard and Ben. Willard is a really good film, and as with most sequels, they decided to put a kid in Ben, and obviously it's not as good. Still watchable, but I'm not sure how many times you would actually watch it. But Willard is certainly an interesting little film, with Bruce Davison, and obviously Ernest Borgnine turns up, which is quite surprising. So that's the second site. I'll go on to the second run. These aren't in alphabetical order, so there. So I'm just going to start. Again, most of these I haven't actually watched yet. So this is Love by Carolee Mack, and this is from 1971 Hungary. Then we have Miklos Jansko triple bill, which has My Way Home, The Roundup, and The Red and the White. So 1965, 67 and 64. I will watch these at some point, honest. This has Josh Oppenheimer Early Works, a collection of 12 films from the director that brought you The Act of Killing and The Look of Silence, which again, you've heard it many times from me on this channel. The Act of Killing is arguably the best film of the millennium. So this is 12 early works. Next is Eroica by Andrzej Monk. Again, I apologise for the pronunciations. I'm probably going to butcher everybody's name. This is from 1957. Then we have Diary for My Children by Marta Mészáros from 1982. Then we have Birds, Orphans and Fools by Juraj Jakubescu from 1969. Again, a couple of these titles are on Criterion, but apart from that, second run is pretty much the only place you're going to find these films. Mother, Joan of Angels from Jerzy Kowalkiewicz. Pronunciations aren't getting better. This is from 1960, Poland. Next is Red Sam by Miklos Jansko from 1971. This is Sinbad by Zoltan Husárik from 1971. It's not a Sinbad film. This is Valerie and Her Week of Wonders, a film by Jaromil Jeres from 1970, and this is being released in Blu-ray in a matter of weeks by Second Run, and it's also on Criterion. Next we have Blood by Pedro Costa, a filmmaker I can actually pronounce, and from 1989. I've actually got a few Pedro Costas. This is Illumination by Krzysztof Zanussi from 1972 and from Poland. This is The Confrontation, another Miklos Jansko from 1968, Hungary. Next is Casa de Lava by Pedro Costa from 1994. This is actually relatively new, it's still 26 years ago. Our Beloved Month of August by Miguel Gomes from 2008. Blimey, that's only 12 years old. Next is a Blu-ray A Case for the Rookie Hangman by Pavel Juracek. When's this from? It's Czech, and it's from 1969. Another Blu-ray, Silence and Cry by Miklos Jansko from 1968. Another Blu-ray, The Shop on the High Street by Jan Kadar and Elmore Kloss. This is from Czechoslovakia in 1965. Next is Invention for Destruction by Karol Zeman, which to my shame I still haven't watched, from 1958, but I hope to remedy that soon. Next is another Karol Zeman, The Fabulous Baron Munchausen from 1961, which I again still haven't watched. Next is The Emperor's Naked Army Marches On by Kazuo Hara from 1987. Again, Nazarene Prod's done a video for this. I was going to do a video, but Nazar and Prod did it way better than I would. This is a documentary that has probably on par with Act of Killing as far as the audience and the filmmakers walking that thin line of complicitness with this lead character who, to call him eccentric would be probably wrong. He's a little bit mentally unbalanced as he seeks to right a wrong that happened to him and fellow soldiers in the Second World War. It goes one way and then it takes a bit of a left turn, and your jaw will probably be open for most of the running time. Again, if you're going to buy 1 second run release, I would probably recommend this one. You're not going to enjoy it, but it's an important film and it will make you think about things whether you want to or not. As Emperor Naked Army marches on. Next is a Carol Zeman that I have actually watched, Journey to the Beginning of Time, which again Nazar and Prod did a excellent video on. I'll probably link those two Nazar and Prod videos in the description below, so go check them out. Subscribe to his channel if you haven't. This is just a beautiful, simple, kind of innocent, you could at some level say naive, just about some boys who journey to the beginning of time. They just go in a boat down a river. It's such beautiful simplicity in kind of the days of CGI and spectacle. This is just like beautiful. It's from 1955. It's hard to kind of describe. That's why I'll let Nazar and Prod do it. It's just a beautiful, beautiful little film. Yeah. Next on the list is Markéta Lazarova by František Vlasil from 1967. It's one that I have watched, and to be honest, I was a little disappointed with it. It's kind of, I don't know, maybe I have to watch it again. It does kind of reach for that Andrei Rublev, the same way Hard to Be a God did. But I think both Hard to Be a God and Markéta Lazarova kind of fall short of that Tarkovsky excellence. Again, this is one of the releases from Second Run that's also on Criterion. Yeah, interesting film. Probably need to rewatch it. Yeah, Markéta Lazarova. And that is it. You'll be glad to know. So please let me know in the comments below which Second Run and Second Sight films you have, which ones that piqued your interest, and hopefully we'll see you again for another updated collection video. This is Solitude Ronin saying thank you so much for watching, and farewell.